Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Player Zone YouTube channel. And we're back now for match week 10 Premier League predictions. Can you believe it? So this one's going out a little bit later. I know the Tottenham game is basically about to kick off, hopefully by the time this video goes up. But bit of a rush this week, a lot of things flying around, but I couldn't miss the Premier League predictions video. The stalwart of this channel is always here every week. Thank you for the support on the recent videos. It's been much appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, like on this, subscribe to the channel, share the channel with mates. That would be much appreciated. And please check out our basketball channel that I run, The King of the Court, which will be linked in the description of this video and also on the channel as well if you're interested in the basketball content. With all that being said, guys, Premier League predictions, match week 10. Looking back to last week before we jump into this week's one, I end up with a solid total. Picked up the 9 points, so started coming into the week with 57 and left with 66, so not too bad at all. Got a perfect prediction in there as well with the Man City Brighton game, so very impressed with that one there. And moving in the right direction. So after 9 weeks, 66 points. If we can get to 76, maybe 10 points in this week, I'll be very happy. Get a 76 after 10 weeks, that'd be very, very impressive, and I'll be very happy with where I'm going there after a tough few weeks starting off. Remember, guys, the point system works: 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result, and 0 points for not getting the correct result. You know how it works. We're already 10 weeks in now. I cannot believe it. Let's get straight to this video and straight into the predictions. The first game of the weekend is a Friday night kickoff there in South London. It's Crystal Palace hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, Palace coming off a tough result last time out, that 4-0 loss to Newcastle United. Just dominate off the park, really. Their defence, that structure with Gahey and Anderson and Mitchell the like at the back, they just didn't quite hold up to the quality that Newcastle have got, and especially that wing area. They got dominated on the flanks there, especially with the fullbacks and the wingers that Newcastle have. So they got overloaded there, and that's something I think Tottenham could exploit in this game. I guess for Palace going into this game, it's an uphill battle. They're coming up against the best team in the Premier League at the current point in time, on form, on vibes and everything. They're currently now got everything going their way, so lots going against them. But for Palace, a key this season has been that defensive structure. You know, held in the midfield with like Hughes and Doucouré, whether it be Ayew playing deeper as a sort of inverted, tucked-in winger and joining that in that midfield there. Will Hughes sitting at the base of that midfield, breaking things up, and Gahey and Anderson at the back. Those two, they've been so good this season. They're going to be the key in this game if they can hold on. But obviously, we know how Spurs keep attacking, so it's going to be hard work for them. Obviously, Spurs coming to this game after a great 2-0 performance on Monday night versus Fulham. They got that job done quite convincingly. Simon Maddison on the score sheet, with Charleston getting more involved now off the flank. It seems everything's going right for Ange Postecoglou's men at the moment, and I think he'll continue in this game. I don't think they'll get the output they probably deserve. I think they'll dominate Crystal Palace in this game, but they won't get the goals, the sheer amount. I got them winning 2-0, similar to that Fulham game where they might just dominate possession, dominate the chances, but just not score as many goals as we quite think. Palace got their work cut out for them, but at home you just quite never know in the Premier League. Our next game now is on Saturday. Keeps us in London. It is Chelsea hosting Brentford, two London sides. Chelsea, a team in form, it feels. I think that they've made that turn recently after that Burnley result where Sterling was on fire. It seems that they've made a little upturn there, and a few results going their way now. That 2-2 result against Arsenal, unfortunately, to get the 3 points, considering how well they played. Probably the best performance I've seen them put out in some time, probably over a year now. I'm liking the work of Gallagher. Really underrated what he could do for this football club. The captain now, while a few injuries are going around, leading that midfield, playing as almost a number 10. Enzo Fernandez still with a lot of room for improvement, but improving week by week. Caicedo's back at that midfield and made it look much more efficient in there with those three as a midfield three, and that really stood out to me as that tight-knit group. We know how good Cole has been to start the season, a few hit-and-miss performances now and then, but him and Thiago Silva built a great partnership back there. Badiashile looks like he's coming back into the fray as well, so many options out for Chelsea. The work of Raheem Sterling, Mykhailo Mudryk has been really, really impressive, especially in the last few weeks. Mykhailo Mudryk seems to have turned things around internationally and also for his club football as well. So hopefully he can stay in the goals, and Kunku feels like he's around the corner as well to being fully fit. So all things are going right for Chelsea at the moment. They come up against a Brentford side who finally got their first win at home, a place where they're normally very, very good, but going away to Chelsea, a bit of a different kettle of fish. They played some good games this season, Brentford, but without big results. I think back to Forest, think back to United, where they played some good football. We just didn't quite get the results, and it's been a season of quite disappointing for myself. I know you lose Tony. I know Kevin Sade has not been in the lineup as of recently, but I just think they have enough talent, they have enough quality there. Thomas Frank's a great manager. They'll get the job done, but as so far, they haven't quite got the job done so far. A massive 3 points, that 3-0 win versus Burnley last time out. Hope they can springboard their season, but they come up against Chelsea at probably the wrong time this season. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Chelsea, quite straightforward. I think Brentford will do their best to sit in that sort of deep structure, like some Ben Mee, Pinnock in there, Norgard trying to sit in deep and try and absorb pressure. But I think Chelsea will have too much quality, too much talent, and will break them down and get a nice, easy 2-0 win at home. Our next game, once again, keeps us in London. It is Arsenal versus Sheffield United. What a game this one will be. No, I'm absolutely kidding. It is going to be straightforward for Arsenal. Obviously, a disappointing result last time out. That 2-2 draw versus Chelsea, meaning that Tottenham can spread their wings and get it even further away for them in the table. But it was a small hiccup, and I think if that's their worst performance, because I think in my eyes that's the worst half, that first half I've seen them play under Mikel Arteta for some time now, and they can still draw a game 2-2. It just goes to show the quality of this team, the leaders in this unit. I look at Declan Rice, I look at Leandro Trossard, Martinelli in there as well, that turned that game around for Arsenal. Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, Saka didn't have the greatest of games, but there was other guys that stood up around them to lift them and get them going in the right direction. Even Tomiyasu off the bench in the second half was very, very impressive. So it just shows that this team, even if they aren't playing great football, can turn it around. And they saw that midweek, they turned it around. A 2-1 win, Martinelli and Jesus getting on the score sheet versus Sevilla away from home. One of the hardest places, I think, to play on European nights there as well. So the quality's there. It was a hiccup last weekend versus Chelsea, and I think they'll be back at it in this game. Coming against a Sheffield United team that played well against Manchester United. I feel like every week we say a team plays well against Manchester United, but just didn't quite get the result. They don't have that forward power quality. We know the injury problems at the back that aren't getting any better. It's making them having to play a four at the back, and it just looks like it's not going to work at the current point in time. They're coming against an Arsenal team looking to bounce back. They're in a Premier League title race, so they're going to be going all guns blazing in this game. And I think it's just going to be a tough day for Sheffield United, especially with Arsenal at home. Maybe unders for this. I'm going with Arsenal 3-0 win, but don't get me wrong, they could be putting Sheffield United to the sword in this game. Our next game takes us back down to the south coast. Is Burnley going down there to play Bournemouth. Two teams right now who've really underperformed this season. Two teams who I expected much more of, I'm going to be honest with you. We'll start with Bournemouth. Back home again, another chance to springboard, spark their season to life. But so far under Andre Iraola, what we were promised were a bit more progressive style of football, a bit more time possession, which we got initially, but it's just been coming to hurt them. They haven't got the quality, and they haven't really come together as a unit. It feels like, to produce quality performances, and a sign of that was last week against Wolves, where their captain Neto, the keeper, turns the ball over or plays the ball to Billing in a dangerous spot. The ball turns over, Wolves get the chance. Kalajic's still on goal and he scores and wins the game for Wolves. And that basically in a nutshell sums up Bournemouth's season so far. In games at times, Solanke continually being a threat on the score sheet. Like Semenyo up top there as well, having games where they've been good, but too many patchy performances for Bournemouth this season, and not enough good stuff, I think it's fair to say. Obviously still winless, still looking for points. I think if Andre Iraola can't get a win in the next 3 or 4 games, it could be the end of his term at Bournemouth, and Bournemouth will be looking at a season where they're just trying to keep out of relegation. And considering how well they did last year, it'd be quite disappointing to go down that route. They host a Burnley side who are also battling relegation as well. At least Burnley got a win under their boat so far. Obviously the recent one coming against Luton there. But so far this season, just really disappointing. Companies continue to try and play solid football. Zander Berger's been a great signing, but he isn't quite, smashed it out the park so far. Josh Cullen's sort of struggling. Ziggy Anduni and Lyle Foster, I say a lot about these guys. Lyle Foster's probably been the biggest standout for them this season, but it just hasn't been enough. A lot of new signings, a lot of new faces haven't quite, clicked together. James Trafford and goals had a hard time of things, but they just continue to try and play their solid football, which is all respect to Company, but he might be going down with a sinking ship here. It's going to be tough for them this game. Both teams are really desperate for a win. They might both revert back into their shell at times and take a result. And as such, I think it will happen that way. I think it will end up being a 1-1 draw because both teams will be happy with the draw, happy with the point, and happy to move on and progress in this season. Next game is in the Midlands. It is Wolverhampton Wanderers hosting Newcastle United. And what a game this one could be. Like, in all seriousness, Wolves have been one of the most informed teams as of recently. They beat Man City. They got a draw following that versus Villa. And then obviously, in more recent time, we're seeing the form of Hwang, Neto, and the likes all just clicking and coming together and playing some great football. They got the win last week versus Bournemouth. They just seem to be on the roll at the moment. And Gary O'Neill's got his team playing football at a really high level and finally getting results to match that. And it's really, really good to see. They've absolutely cleared the relegation zone at the current point in time, and they've exceeded my expectation. I thought they'd struggle so far this season, and those early results I thought would be quite similar throughout the season, but they've worked their way to get results at important times, and it's come, as I said, through Hwang's goals, Matas Cunha, João Gomez, João Neto, even Nouri's picked up his performance as well. I like the word of Matt Doherty as well in midfield. It's all these players are lifting to play this Gary O'Neill style of football, which is, take pride in possession, play with the ball when you have it, but then also when you don't have it, work hard, deep in defence, break the game up, try and get back in possession as quickly as possible. And it's worked so far for them this season. They unfortunately come up against one of the most other informed teams in the Premier League, and then probably one of the most hottest teams in Europe, in Newcastle United, who's right now in a similar vein where just a few players are playing some outstanding football. I think of Jacob Murphy, Miggy Almiron, Anthony Gordon and the flank carrying Trippier as well. Jamal Lascelles has filled in recently and deputised at centre-half and played very well as well. So it seems at the moment Newcastle have just got so many players and playing so great, high-level football, and it's hard for them to stop at the moment. Obviously, the 1-0 loss midweek to Borussia Dortmund is unfortunate, but coming off a 4-0 win on the weekend in the Premier League. Callum Wilson, when he plays, looks like a superstar. When Isaac plays, he looks like a superstar. There's so much depth now, it feels like, at Newcastle United. Unfortunately, now Sandro Tonali, I think, has been confirmed to have his 12-month ban, so that's a big loss for them. But it means the more time for Elliot Anderson, Joel Linton, and with Bruno Guimaraes back in that midfield as well. They've still got the talent there. It's a big loss, obviously, without Sandro Tonali, but I think they'll still get the job done throughout this season. I think they'll be a Champions League team no matter what. In this game, I think they've got the better of Wolves. I've got them winning the game 3-1. I think they'll have too much talent, too much forward play, and too much possession, and they'll get the better of Wolves in this one. Our next game takes us back to London is West Ham United facing Everton. West Ham right now, another team in some really decent form. Obviously, been a bit of a ratchetly sort of uncomfortable last few days in the last week or so. Obviously, losing their first game in Europe for a while away from home, 2-1 to Olympiacos, and then probably meeting their match last weekend versus Aston Villa, where they were torn to pieces a little bit, 4-1 lost theirs. But the strategy is still there with David Moyes. It is to sit in, it is to absorb pressure and pound teams on the counter attack. But I'm interested to see how they go this week versus an Everton side that will probably try and do the same. So it'd be West Ham probably more on the front foot. We saw against Luton, they struggled at times on that Friday night kickoff there when they had more possession, when they had more opportunity on the ball. They couldn't quite break down a low block and a team that's going to sit in deeper. And we know they haven't got great pace at centre back. So teams can exploit them if they get counter-attacked, but I think West Ham have too much midfield quality in this game. I think that's where the game's been won and lost. Like, obviously, Everton have got their clinical strikers, Doucouré and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and they've been very good for them this season on the counter-attack. I think West Ham's quality in midfield, we touched on it a lot, whether it be Kudus, whether it be Lucas Paquetá, James Ward-Prowse, Thomas Souček, even Alvarez in there as well. That midfield so far this season has been the difference for me. That's been the difference maker and improved this team a lot. On Everton, I guess James Garner has been a bright spark in there for them. But outside of that, I just think they lack that midfield, robust nature, the ability to break up the play and play well and work hard off the ball. In terms of Everton, though, James Tarkowski's turned his form around. An unfortunate result last time out versus Liverpool with the 2-0 loss. Ashley Young with a brain fade, double yellow. They were unfortunate not to have Liverpool go down to 10 men with a controversial call there as well, but just getting done on the counter-attack towards the end of the game there with Mo Salah. So a turning result where they play some great football. All respect to Everton, they've really turned it around. It feels like they're a yo-yo club though. You never know when you get another poor performance. Sean Dyche is getting his team to work much more harder, much more like that traditional Sean Dyche team. But I feel like in this game, West Ham will have too much that midfield area. They have too many chances, and with James Bowen in the form that he's currently in, I feel like West Ham will get the job done here. I've got them winning the game 2-1. I think Everton will still nick a goal on the counter-attack, but I think Everton will just not have enough in this game. I'm at the London Stadium. West Ham should get the game done. I think 2-1. Our next game is Aston Villa hosting Luton Town, and I won't sugarcoat this one too much. Aston Villa back home again, looking to extend that 11-game consecutive win streak. They've been absolutely dominant at home with the likes of Ollie Watkins, Douglas Luiz, Moussa Diaby, John McGinn, all these guys playing superb football. Matty Cash, despite having a bit of a downturn in form, has been also very good for them this season. And it just seems to be goals. They've had 10 goals combined last 2 home games, 6 against Brighton, 4 against West Ham. They're just putting teams to the sword at home. And Unai Emery is finally getting the respect that he probably deserves, I think. I think the football he plays is some of the best down in the Premier League. And I think in this game, Robert Wood's Luton side would just not have enough. They'll probably get backed off the park, I think. But all credit to them. A massive result last time out. Away at the City ground, getting that 2-2 draw, coming back from 2 goals down. It just feels like this season that Luton probably are the worst team in the Premier League, but they've on paper getting, and I guess in the game, getting some of the better results compared to the likes of Bournemouth, to the likes of Burnley, to the likes of Sheffield United. And it could come to help them in the long term, especially if other teams can't get some big results at important times. So all credit to them. But I think in this game, considering the form that Villa are in, and Luton's, I guess, inability to stop teams, can stop conceding themselves, but stop teams from being so prolific on the attack, I think it could be quite ugly. I think Villa will win this game 5-0. Then that brings us to Brighton hosting Fulham. A very interesting game, this one, in the fact that Brighton had a lot of football in the recent days. Obviously, midweek, getting that 2-0 win, their first European win. Congratulations to Brighton there midweek. Ansu Fati back on the score sheet, scored obviously against City last week as well, and a big shout out to Brighton for that result as well. 2-1 loss away from home at the Etihad. It's a very hard place to go, considering the form with likes of Alvarez, Haaland, even the return of Rodri as well. Really impressive not to get batted off the park, and they could have got a draw on that one late on in that game. So it just shows how good Brighton have been this season. They've been very, very good. Obviously a few dips in performances. I look back to that Villa game and also the Liverpool game where they probably threw away some chances for some good points there. But again, it's just, I think on the back of European performances, these games are really, really big. If they can back it up well Thursday to Sunday, it's hard work for some of the biggest clubs in England, let alone for Brighton, who don't have quite the same budget or don't have the same quality of player. But if any team can do it, Brighton can do it. De Zerbi's men have got it done. They've got the right mentality, they've got the right style of football, and they come against a Fulham side, I guess, who are just so hard to read at the moment. They're so disjointed. It feels like a brand new team compared to last season, and they just cannot get any goals at the moment. It feels like they're 1 goal or 0 goals in every single game so far this season. The only wins are coming when they're getting more than 1 goal, but I don't think they're getting more than 1 goal against this game, against this Brighton side that are so strong defensively, led by the likes of Lewis Dunk, and Tarek Lamptey there at the back as well, and Perez Estupinian as well. So all these great players in there, I think they'll just shut down Fulham. Fulham lacking any sort of connection. I think they'll struggle in this game. Brighton will outposition them to kingdom come. They'll dictate them off the park. And I think they'll get a comfortable 2-0 win in this game. An important win coming off the back of that European adventure midweek. Our penultimate game from the weekend is Liverpool hosting Nottingham Forest, and all credit to Liverpool. They battered Toulouse midweek 5-1. They got the win versus Everton 2-0. Played some very, very great football throughout this season and have shown a lot of people up. I had a lot of faith in Jurgen Klopp in this new style of football, but I don't think as many people had them as high as they currently are. They're up there in the title challenge sort of area of the table and that sort of discussion, and with Gravenberch now starting to be blended to that midfield alongside McAllister and Szoboszlai, we've got a new era at Liverpool, and they're playing some really, really great football. Obviously, Mo Salah, shout out to him. He's been killing it so far this season. Goals and assists coming at ease. A double last time out versus Everton. Constantly a threat. Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota when they're playing as well look phenomenal. And I guess for Liverpool right now, the only real weakness I think I can see is their defence if they get counter-attacked or if they make a mistake. With Matip or Gomez and Van Dijk, they seem to be recently a bit mistake prone or vulnerable to the counter-attack. But right now, that looks like the only flaw in their team. Jurgen Klopp's side look at their best again. They look like that team that was constantly challenging City for titles a few years back. And attacking-wise, they're just so hard to stop. And it's going to be a hard day for Nottingham Forest, who right now was another team that, personally, I've been quite disappointed with. I had high hopes for them this season to kick on with under Steve Cooper. But a few new signings, losing, I guess, Tawa 1 year to the injury, but also, most importantly, Brennan Johnson to Tottenham. You sort of have a whole new identity in that forward line, that midfield that is quite defensive at the current point in time with Mangala and Dominguez in there as well. And it just seemed to be quite imbalanced at the current point in time. Chance creation, that link between the midfield and the forwards has been missing. Obviously, I don't think Alanga, when he's been playing, has been very, very impressive. That assist to Chris Wood was remarkable last week. Chris Wood has been good, I guess, 2 goals last week, but missed so many chances to put that game away against Luton. And they'll be kicking themselves joining Luton at home. That's the game you book away as 3 points, especially at the City ground. But they have to go now to Anfield, a tough place to go. I think with their lineup, with that midfield three, that at least will suit them, being a bit more defensively orientated. They'll look to counter with maybe Hudson or Alanga up top, or another pacey striker up there as well to join the likes of Alanga. I think he'll be perfect this sort of game to counter-attack. But it's going to be tough them, going to Anfield, a team that like Liverpool who's been dominating teams of the park, scoring goals at will. I think it'll be quite ugly in this game. I think with Liverpool 3-0, but it could be much, much more in this one. And that brings us to the biggest game of the weekend. The game we'll be doing the live watch long for. It is Manchester United versus Manchester City, the Manchester derby. They're 2 teams behind me right there, as you can see by the jerseys. It's a big game no matter what. I'll premise this by saying before we get into it, derby, you just throw form out the window. It is just 2 teams going at it. And considering how out of form Manchester United have been at the moment, seems to be no midfield balance, no structure in the forward line, 0 chance creation at the moment. They're just getting results at the moment. The dramatics scenes of the last few weeks, obviously the 2-1 comeback over Brentford, the great Delo winner to win on the weekend versus Sheffield United, and then the 1-0 heroics of Harry Maguire last time out in the Champions League, and then the 97th minute penalty save for Banana. It seems like Manchester United are just holding on for dear life at the moment, just trying to get results, and Ten Hag's side seem to be really, really out of touch, and I think these are just keeping him at a job at the current point in time. Obviously, the biggest thing is there is the coming back from injury. Is Wan-Bissaka looking better? He looks like he's getting closer to first team football. Reguilon's back now. Obviously, Alejandro Garnacho, lots going on there with his suspension. If he's suspended or not, that's another problem for the club to deal with as well. It seems like there's constantly problems coming in front of this club. But all shout outs to Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, Scott McTominay, even Andre Nana for the last game. These guys who have been slated in the press, slated by myself, got to be honest, have turned it around and saved Manchester United's season at times here with crucial results, with big time performances, and players who would never think would be playing first team football for Manchester United are playing at the moment and are crucial pieces. So they've been holding United together, and coming to this derby will have to be produce another massive performance to keep United in this game. It's going to be a lot of counter-attacking against the Manchester City side that are playing some great football. They've been almost perfect this season outside of that Arsenal result. I think they've been after the Arsenal and the Wolves result, they've been absolutely splendid. Julian Alvarez has been remarkable. Erling Haaland's getting it done in every competition it feels at the moment. You've got Rodri back there to control that midfield. I want to see probably a bit more from Grealish. The defender's been solid as a rock as well. And it just seems like it should be a run over for Manchester City in this game. But remember back to last season, that 2-1 result for Manchester United, where Rashford got on the score sheet there late to win it. It could be something like that again. But I think this game, I think City have got too much quality, but it won't be a blowout. I don't think it'll be a dramatic sort of 5-6-0 that many may expect. I think it'll be a 2-1 City win. I think United will score second. City will score the last winner, probably towards the 70th, 60th minute. I think a big game from like Jack Grealish or even a Phil Foden this game to get City over the line. But it's going to be a classic, obviously at Old Trafford and in a derby. All the form goes out the window. It's just two teams going at it, two clubs that are so close by distance and so tight in rivalry going at it. It'll be a very, very exciting watch. I can't wait to watch it with the boys. As a United fan, I'm a bit nervous, but that's all we come to expect in these rivalries. It'll be a great game, I feel, and definitely one of the best of the weekend. That brings now the predictions to an end, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry it was so last minute. Some big games in this week, obviously the Manchester derby in there, but also Brighton playing Fulham, a key game for Brighton there as well, and a chance for Chelsea hopefully to continue this good chain of form, also versus the Brentford side who are in desperate need for some continuity. Another massive week of Premier League action. It feels like every week is massive in the Premier League. Hopefully you enjoyed at home, guys. Make sure if you enjoyed this video, a like would be much appreciated. Please subscribe to the Player Zone channel and share this with mates who would enjoy this similar sort of content. Make sure to also check out the basketball channel, The King of the Court also, which I do. Some also daily videos there as well. So constant uploads, constant content coming to this channel. Make sure as well to check us out on Sunday night for the live watch along for the Manchester derby. A lot of things going on the channel here and only more to come as we approach Christmas time. Guys, hope you enjoy the Premier League action for this weekend. Enjoy all the football action from the weekend. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy yourself. And I'll see you very, very soon. See you later.